Have you ever wanted to start a business from home, but you weren't quite sure how to get started? Well, today I'm going to be interviewing my sister, Cathryn. For the past 23 years, has run a day school and has done it well. She's going to teach us about how to avoid some pitfalls.
Be unique, be different, put your heart into it. You're already passionate about it. That's why you chose this career. That's why you chose what you're doing. And don't let anybody discourage you and say, oh, this is just what you do.
And also how to build in margin while you're operating your business from home.
You don't have that car ride home.
Yeah, you need the reset. You got to take a minute. Yeah.
So you think about it. You'll be in your car, leaving work. You listen to your worship music or whatever works for you.
Yes.
And you get that little break in between.
Yes.
So I simply have to just ask my family, just give me 15 minutes.
Let's get started. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Kingdom Heirs, where faith meets business, inspiring the kingdom-minded entrepreneur. Today, I have the great privilege to be interviewing my sister, Cathryn. Welcome to the show, Cathryn.
Thank you, James.
Cathryn is a very successful lady entrepreneur who has been in business probably for the past 25 years.
Close to that, 23, yes.
23 to 25 years. Yes. I remember when I was young, you were starting business. And Cathryn's in the niche market of day school, kinder prep. And I asked Cathryn to be on the show today to share with us how she got started with business, why she decided this type of business, and how has she been able to do it for ongoing 23 years now and done it extremely well. So today we've got a lot to learn, so buckle up. Thanks for being here, Cathryn.
Thanks for having me.
So many people think that I'm an only child. I don't know why. I don't know. I have no idea why. But most people, I don't think people really think that, actually. So Cathryn and I are one of 14.
Yes.
Mom and Dad had 14 children. And you are officially the middle child.
I'm right there in the middle. Definitely the middle sister.
Middle sister.
Of all the girls, yes.
Yeah, and I am the baby boy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a total of 6 girls and 8 boys.
Yes.
Sounds crazy, and it was. But
fun.
But fun, a ton of fun. We grew up in the upstate New York region, mm-hmm. and we now both live in Corpus Christi, Texas. Mm-hmm. So that's the sparkling city by the bay. Now, what's your background? We talked about mom. We know mom's entrepreneur.
Yes.
Lady entrepreneur.
Huge entrepreneur. I mean, our entire life, I feel like we just watched her.
Yes, we did.
Constantly. If there was a need somewhere, she came up with a creative idea and she just went for it and did it.
She did. She did things in home. I know back in the 80s, she ran the Action Nursing Service in the home. I think it wasn't until like 92 that she went and got an office outside and started operating outside of the home. But that was some of my earliest memories.
Yes.
Was Action Nursing Services.
Yes, I believe that was the first business that she did build from inside the home. Yeah. Converted garage into an office that Dad built for her.
That's right. Yes. And she took it to the point where she was able to sell it. I think after 10 years of launching it, or 8 years, she sold it to another larger group.
Yes.
And took it over. And then she launched right into the next thing.
Right. Her medical supply store.
Medical supplies.
Yes.
Yeah, she had a medical supply store. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that was like early, mid-90s. She had medical supply. 1994, I think, is when she launched that, 95. And then she went into, what was the next thing? Then after that, she was at the school.
I feel like it was MTA.
Yeah, she started a independent Catholic elementary school.
Yes. She saw the need and she went for it.
It's wild.
Yes.
Mom is wild.
Yes, an incredible example to us.
Yeah, she really was. And I think what's really cool about kind of our story, our family story is, and I've told people, it wasn't like, oh, you're going to start a business. It wasn't like that. It was more of, what kind of business are you going to start? What kind of business are you going to have?
Right.
It was just part of meeting needs. If you see a need, like you said, Mom saw a need, she figured out a way.
Correct.
To meet the need. Mm-hmm. And so that is, you're one of the entrepreneurs in our house and our home, from our family of origin. We have several other siblings that also are very successful entrepreneurs. And so for you, what was the driving force for you to start your own business, and why? So why did you start your own business? Because I know you were also working out. You had a regular job before you started. So what brought you to this point of opening your own company?
So really, it came down to I was a single mom for a while, and I wanted to be home with my kids. So I shared a vision with Mom, and she said, "Okay, let's do it." And it started all from that converted garage where she once had her action nursing, and she let me put up a little sign in the window. Playhouse was my original business, the foundation of where I started, and Mom believed in me, and from there it just grew into Miss Katz, into the home that I bought and lived in with my children.
Yes.
So it really just started from there. It was just, I knew that I was passionate about loving on children and taking care of children and wanted to be home with my children.
Okay, so that's a great point. We didn't say, and I apologize. Cathryn is married and has 6 children.
Yes, I do.
And you have how many grandbabies?
Oh my gosh, 6. I have 1 on the way, but so I count that little guy, so 6.
Awesome.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I definitely don't want to leave that out. And Justin, your husband,
is a
Justin,
firefighter
is
right
a firefighter here in Corpus Christi.
Yes, he is.
And so I apologize, family. I know you're all watching. Like, Uncle Jay did not mention us. Sorry, guys.
No, it's
but that kind of leads the point into you wanted to be present for your family.
I did.
And so you just said, you know what, let's just keep doing what we're doing. And you continued. I've watched over the years. It seemed like it got better and better and better. It's kind of like you hit like a really cool, like, I don't want to say it wasn't cruise control, because you kept growing it. Like you kept improving. Like really you went from a daycare to a day school.
Yes.
Like that's a big flip, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's a big.
It really was. It was back in 2010, actually, when I was at one of those out-of-the-home jobs. I took this job opportunity that had great benefits, great pay, and it would really take care of my family of 5. So then when the day came and I was laid off, I just literally walked in the door with my box from my office and collapsed on my kitchen floor. And I was like, God, what is next? Like, what is the plan you have for me? And I felt God speak to me and say to me, it's time to go back to what you're passionate about. It's time to be home with your family. And so I looked into it and I was like, okay, what is it going to take me to get back into my business classes and early child development classes? And it came down to needing money. And I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. And I was blessed. There was a family member who knew that I wanted to get back into this, and it was $245 to start up. And that sister of mine blessed me with that money.
Amen.
And
that's awesome.
I went for it, and I was all in. And from there, I opened up what became more professional and more of what I wanted. And a year later, I married my husband now, Justin.
Yes.
And he fully supported me and did whatever I needed to do. It needed to be done inside the home to make it pass inspections and up to code and all the things you need for a really good home business foundation.
You know, it tells me something small was $245,
yes.
right? And so the first thing that we need in life is people who believe in us.
Correct.
That's what I'm hearing you say. The first thing we need is someone who believes in us. And if you're looking to start something, as you listen to the story, I know people are going to be inspired. And sometimes they're surrounded by people that are just negative.
Correct.
Because they're not improving their own life.
Right.
So they don't want to help you improve your life.
Correct.
Right? Mm-hmm. So what would you say about finding the right people? You know, if you have this idea, this vision, you want to do something, like what do you recommend for people to do?
So you really have to look to those that are in your inner circle and see if they're toxic in your circle. And if they are, remove them. Yeah. You really need to be surrounded by people that are going to love on you and pour into you and support you. Yeah. And most importantly, pray for you. I knew my mom had my back. I knew my Nana had my back. They prayed faithfully for my whole situation. Yeah. And they were to support me. My siblings as well, and my in-laws. I hate to call them that because really they're siblings
family.
To us. Yeah. But they really were there and helped and supported, and they were the positive circle that I needed. And then when I met my husband, he was, all right, what do you want to do? That's what you're passionate about. Let's do it. And not that it was always easy to have a wife who was working from inside the home and kind of having your home overtaken by your business. Yeah. But definitely you want to make sure that those are in your circle are people that support you and they're positive, and they'll be there for you.
That's big. It's big because you need the buy-in.
Correct.
Because you need the buy-in. This gave you, and I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners that operate out of their home.
Correct.
Right? And so there's a balance that has to be met, because when do you ever switch off?
Right.
Right? And it's harder, I would think it's harder to switch off when you're at home Okay, and business mind shuts because you're surrounded by it.
Correct.
Do you have a tip on that?
Okay, so basically what I love about my day school here in Texas is that my school, I have a schoolroom. I think of the one-room schoolhouse. So we have this mixed age group of children between the ages of 18 months and 6 years old. And as soon as you walk into my home, you turn to the left and you walk right into this beautiful setup of a schoolroom where that's separate from my family's living.
Yes.
And my children and my husband, they know during work hours for me, because that is my work, that's where I am.
That's right.
When I'm in there, I'm in work mode. And at the end of the day, when all the parents pick up their children and the day is done, and I have not shut the gates or the doors on the entrance of both ways of getting into my schoolroom, Mom needs a minute. Cathryn needs a minute. Because you don't have that car ride home.
Yeah, you need the reset. You got to take a minute. Yeah.
So you think about it. You'll be in your car, leaving work. You get listen to your worship music or whatever works for you.
Yes.
And you get that little break in between.
Yes.
So I simply have to just ask my family, just give me 15 minutes. And they do. They respect it. They've learned that that's what I need, so that way I can be ready for you next.
That's awesome. That's good. Margin.
Yes.
You need margin. Like everybody needs margin. People are like, oh, you just work from home. It's got to be easy. No, that doesn't mean it's easy. It means that you're present.
Exactly.
It means you're present for family.
Completely. And that is definitely the best benefit. I have been approached, do you want to open up a Mom's Day Out in our church building? Would you like to expand into a center? And because that would be the next step for me, because I am one of the only licensed homes here in Corpus Christi. So the very next step would be go open up a center.
Yes.
But that's not where I feel called.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about being able to work from home in a small group setting. And I have my amazing assistants and my music teacher and art teacher that come in as well.
Yeah.
So basically we're really creating this beautiful community for my families, an extended family from the family they have.
That's
and
right.
we're there for them. So really, being right where I am is exactly where I want to be. It's where I'm passionate. And like you said, I'm able to be there and available to my family.
Yes, that's right. I think, like anything, it's profitable. You're in a good, profitable business. But I think the key thing is that the level of service, we talk about this a lot, the level of service you provide and the care that you provide for children, little ones, little people, right? They're young people.
Yes.
And you're equipping them with the next tools they need to transition into kindergarten.
Correct.
Right? I mean, you're like a pre-3, is it K3, K4? And then
yes, correct.
Yeah. So I know we had Megan and I had Pina, a part of your class for a while. We had Rocco, part of your class for a while. That's where you instituted nap time, and Rocco's like, I just don't want to take a nap, Dad.
That quiet time gets everybody.
But now he takes naps in K4. I'm like, this dude, he loves his naps.
Right.
Daddy, I took a nap today. I'm like,
wouldn't we like a nap?
I would love a nap.
Right?
I'm trying to. I want to bring that back. Nap time in the office. I think that's good. It's I think anything more than like 8 minutes for me.
Right.
But it's like 5 to 8 minutes. It's all I needed. I call it a power nap. It was perfect for me. So knowing that you've got the transitional, do you have some type of advice for people? People from all over, I think Corpus Christi, but the state of Texas and around the country, people are listening, right? What kind of advice would you offer someone who is listening to this and is like, you know what? I want to do that. The investment's not huge, but like you said, you got to have a safe space, right? What kind of advice would you have, or some tips on how someone can get started in becoming a day school in their home? And would you advise it?
I most definitely would advise it.
Okay.
So actually, I just took one of my twin daughters underneath my wing, and I was able to mentor her and help her get her business started.
Yes.
She's covering a different area. She's in the Flower Bluff area where I'm South Side.
Yes.
But it was such a privilege to be able to, hear her say, I really want to be home with my son full time.
Yeah.
And she already has the business mind. She already has the organization skills. She's amazing with children and natural. So if you are passionate about working with children, this is something you're thinking about doing, definitely it is worth looking into, seeing what is required in the county you live in, see what it would take. Go for it. If it's something you're passionate about, go for it. The startup fees are very small. It really comes down to just making it a very safe place for the children. And you have to love kids, and you have to be passionate about working with children. So I 100% would say go for it, and look and find somebody that can mentor you.
And that's what I was going to ask. How did you know because I know, because like you said, it's day school, it's kinder prep. So what, is it a curriculum? Was it like a software? Was it a program that you, because I couldn't imagine, me personally, I couldn't imagine just sitting and watching kids all day. How that's, I don't want my kids watched. I want them interacted with. I want them tired out.
Correct. 100%.
So how do you, and I would think that's so much more rewarding anyway.
It's incredibly rewarding.
Kids,
exactly.
right?
Like a lot of times when you think about a business that's run from home, and you think about daycares, you think, oh, they're just going to sit around and watch TV. They're going to just play with toys all day.
For me. No good.
And that's just not the way we roll. Really, it's important to make sure that what you're providing is what you want for your own children.
Good.
So for us, we have a structured daily routine that we follow. And since we are a Christian-based program, we're under the sun, S-O-N, as in Jesus Christ, even though a lot of families think that we're talking about the sun, the sunshine.
Sure. S-O-N-S-U-N.
Yes.
Yep, I love it.
So it gets corrected. You know, they like
good.
to, exactly.
But you're forthright about it.
Is very forward about it. It's in our name, and I make it very clear in our parent handbook that we are a Christian home-based program, and your child is going to learn how to pray with us. Your child is going to have devotional time. We incorporate worship into our day.
I love that.
We also focus in on academics, what your child will need to know for kindergarten prep. We want them to go into kindergarten fully prepared and ready. So that way it doesn't feel like there's so many challenges they have to face when they get there. Bigger classrooms and buildings.
Yes.
So they're already going to have their foundations down. They're learning how to socialize. They're learning sharing is caring, big thing that they hear me say.
Yes.
We're learning our numbers, our colors, beginner sight words. Some of my 5-year-olds are already learning how to read before they even start kindergarten with us.
That's awesome.
So really, it's all about the balance and the structure, because children thrive off of routine and structure.
Yes, it's their boundaries. They know their boundaries. They know the walls.
Yes.
They can lean up against the wall, but they know it's there to hold them up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whatever is going on at home or in their life, when they come to school, they know exactly what it is that's going to take place for them every day.
That's good. What would you avoid staying away from? What kind of tips would you say, hey, you know, if what kind of tips would you say to stay away from if you're going to do this, you know, in one way to protect your family home environment this way or that? I just think you've been in this for so long, you've seen everything.
Yes.
Right. So what are some tips on pitfalls, like things that you don't want to do? And how to avoid those tips.
So I definitely don't want to be the stereotype of what people think in-home programs are. I'm definitely all for how can we stand out? And again, how can I be everything I'd want for my children?
So there's really no limitation on that. So you're not stuck in a box.
Exactly. You can make your daycare, your school, your day school, your business from home, whatever you want to make it, as long as you're following those state rules and regulations, which the book is very thick, but don't be intimidated by that. Really, it's just to protect yourself as a business owner. It's to protect the children. Really, it's about if you have a vision for your school and your program, go for it. And be unique, be different, put your heart into it. You're already passionate about it. That's why you chose this career. That's why you chose what you're doing. And don't let anybody discourage you and say, oh, you know, this is just what you do. No, what you do is huge, because you're planting the seed of God in every little child that walks in your door.
Yeah, that's good.
And think about it. Some of these families don't even go to church at home.
Right.
So these little ones are able to go home and say, this is what I learned.
That's good. And I think what's great is that they may not have that family structure, right? But they know that you do, and they're like, you know what? I want my child to start off in this way.
Right.
And I think that's really, really powerful, because you don't hide it. You don't have to hide it.
No, you don't.
And I think that's the whole point about us feeling confident in who we are, who God's called us to be. And really, as you said, is to connect. God wants us to connect people back to Him.
Exactly.
And starting very, very young.
Right.
Right.
Correct.
And bringing them into a relationship, just knowing about Him.
Right.
God created the sun. He created the sky. He's the creator, right? And I think He created the animals.
Right.
And I think that's something beautiful, because it reminds me of, the Bible says that faith like a child.
Is the most beautiful, precious thing. One of the most beautiful things I get to witness is the little ones learning how to pray, and as they bow their heads, and how they take the initiative and say, "It's my turn, Miss Cat. I'm going to pray this time."
I love that.
And it's beautiful. Or a friend's out sick, and the one friend will say to me, because they've learned, obviously from home, it takes a village. So it's between the parents at home and between us. And a child will say, "Miss Cat, let's pray for that friend to feel better." And it's just, it's very rewarding in what I do.
I think what's so important is that we learn from our parents. We learn from the people of influence around us, starting very, very young. And I think what's great is that they're getting a foundation early on,
Correct.
where it's feeding their spirit, and they're learning. But we really are a spirit person with flesh on, the body over our spirit, and so we have to feed our spirit. And so I think is great with what you do is you recognize the value that you have, and you recognize the time that you have with them before they transition to the next place. And so you really are equipping and providing an excellent service to your families.
Yes.
Right. And so to your point, it becomes a community.
It completely
Right? It becomes a community.
We really just see ourselves as an extended family to each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can still remember the nursery school, which is basically the day school that you're describing, which was a one-room Mayfair nursery school.
Yes.
I can remember, even when I go back home and I visit, I'm like, oh, that's the that's the daycare I went to.
Yes.
That's where it was, and I was only there from ages 4 and 5.
Yes.
And I still remember the memories.
Yes.
Which were great.
And I think about that teacher often because I still have memories from walking into that one-room schoolhouse, and that is really still a huge part of my heart. So often I'll look around in my schoolroom and just take a breath and just breathe in the fact of what a blessing this is to have these children placed in my care, where I'm able to love on them and educate them and help them grow in the ways they need to.
It's such taking a moment to recognize the impact you're having for each of us with the work that we do, I think is huge.
Yes.
Because in the end, we're part of people's stories.
We are.
We're going to be part of people's memories.
Yes.
And what are we depositing?
Right. Yes.
Good takeaways or negative takeaways, right? And the same thing is true with our own children. Same thing is true with our the employees, the team members, the people that we serve along, the culture that we have.
Right.
Ken Bell was on here on the last episode, and we had talked about the culture. And it's as Christians, we need to be less transactional, more relational.
Right.
In our transactions.
Right.
Right. It's recognizing the value of the people.
Yes.
Right?
It really is.
The value of the people that we
and and it brings me to the one thing we do every time when we do go outside when the weather isn't like this today, we form a circle, and my littles lock hands, and we shout out words of affirmation about how loved they are and special and a child of God, and I build them up.
Awesome. I love that.
Yes. So it's really important that I just really pour into these kids the best I can. You got to have your breaks, like you said. You've got to make sure
the
that
pitfalls. Like what areas that people can get burned out.
They
like you
really
said.
can, and I learned that through the years that it is so important to schedule in that time to have days that you're closed and vacation time too.
I recognize that. That was funny. I remember when I liked the way you wrote your contract, the agreement. You've got certain days off.
Yes.
Right? Because you're not just 24-hour center. Right. You're just like doggy daycare here. I'm anytime drop them off. No way. No.
Right.
And I thought that was really, I thought, that was really good. Look at those days there. Yep. Look at, because it also preps the parents as well, so they know what to expect.
Right. When they go to elementary school.
No, you need to spend time with your kids. You can't just drop your kids off at daycare.
Right.
No, this is a day off.
Correct.
You need to, plan for that. I thought that was good.
Yes.
So that's a great way to prevent burnout.
Completely. It's so important. It's important to also, thank your family, because you're in the home with your family. Thank you for your patience with me during this time that I wasn't able to answer your question right now because, mom's working right now.
Yes.
So, it's just really taking time to appreciate them. Have your family nights and, just love on them outside of that school room that's carved out in your home.
I think that's the most important, again, is knowing boundaries. We talk about how kids need structure, they need boundaries, but so do adults.
Yes.
When we don't have good structure and good boundaries, we feel like life is chaos.
Right.
So it's good that we too have our own boundaries, especially as a business owner.
Correct.
Right, because it can be nonstop, 24/7. You don't ever take a break.
Right.
Like vacations are important. That's one thing Megan had done for us years ago was she started scheduling our vacations. Yes. And I said, wow, really? So are we going to have, this was years ago, so we're going to have money for that?
Right.
And she goes, no, we'll have money for that.
Right, God's going to provide it.
And you're going to love the fact that we took a pause to your chaotic life.
Exactly.
I'm like, well, I like what I do. She goes, yeah, but you need breaks.
Right. We all do. And that's just that great reminder that, whether you work from home or outside the home, we all need that balance and those breaks.
Yes.
So we're ready to just go full force again.
I love that.
Yes.
Thinking about, mom and dad and growing up in a household where business was talked about on a regular basis.
Yes, it really was.
Did what were your thoughts reflecting back? I mean, was that like burdensome? I'm thinking about, parents who feel like sometimes, man, other entrepreneurs, business owners, and all they think about is, man, that's all we talk about. And thinking about the kids and our kids, we burdening our children. Like, I hope we're not ruining them or impacting them negatively. Yeah. What's your takeaway having, both parents that were very involved in, business, and as kids, we were very aware of it.
Right.
Is it negative? Is it positive? What's your takeaway?
I mean, honestly, for me, it's positive because it's made us who we are today. So really, I was in awe of Mom. She was just really my Wonder Woman. Just as a little girl, I just remember kind of shadowing her and just watching her put on her lipstick in the mirror, getting ready for her work day. And the way that she was in church and wanting to lock my hand inside of hers at church, and just listening to the way that she would talk to others and the way that she would love on others. She had patience of a saint.
Yes, she did.
So really,
she did. Yes.
Just the fact that we were able to grow up in a household where our parents were entrepreneurs and they supported each other in everything that they did. Yeah. I don't think I would understand anything different because that's just the way it was for us. That was the norm for us.
It was.
So I see it as a positive because when it was time for us to, hey, I have an idea, they were the very first ones to say, okay,
come on, do it.
Let's do it.
But it almost like just rolled off their tongue, though.
Yes,
which was kind of wild because I know people now, they're like, show me 100 things why you should do that. And I know I've even said that at times with Megan. She's like, well, I got this idea. I'm like, well, show me how that's going to work out. And
right.
But Mom and Dad they didn't have that. And I was almost like, well, do they really think it's going to happen?
Yeah, they just believed in us.
They didn't want to hinder us.
Exactly.
They're like, no, you see that? Mm-hmm. You see that opportunity? Go
for it.
Yeah, figure it out. Work it out.
Exactly.
We didn't have to have big, fat business plans.
No, we didn't.
You just needed to have, they say $1 in a dream. That's like the lottery,
pretty much.
Right?
One will come, the rest will follow.
That's it.
Yes.
And that was really the idea.
Right.
And I think that's what led you to a successful pathway of a balanced family business approach.
Yes.
I think you do it very well. And I think that's a key factor. I know one thing that I really admired about Dad and Mom and their relationship is Mom really, Dad was the entrepreneur early in his life with his construction business. And then from there, Mom kind of took, in the 80s, Mom kind of took the entrepreneurial pathway.
She did.
Right? Mm-hmm. And Dad scored a huge job with a really big firm. But what I'm saying is that, but he didn't say, no, you can't. He didn't hinder Mom from launching into her dream, her passion, her goal.
Right.
She saw a need. She's like, I can do that.
Yes.
Let me do it. Mm-hmm. And Dad really got behind her and said, look, you can do it.
100%.
I'm going to support you.
Yes.
And I think that was, growing up as a young boy and becoming a teenager, I saw that. I said, man, they argued like cats and dogs at times, and they fought about money, and they're just like, well, how are you going to handle this? What are you going to do with that? But in the end, they came back together and said, look, I trust you. I believe in you, and God is going to work it out.
Right.
He's going to work it out.
Sure.
We're too deep in now to quit.
Right.
You can't give up.
You got to see it through.
You got to see it through.
I
think that was the great thing. They didn't give us a lot of outs.
Right.
They said, now you're in it, work through it.
Right. See it through.
See it through. You know, and I think that's really a powerful thing for men to recognize, husbands to recognize when your wife is really kind of taking that, she's got that entrepreneurial gifting.
Right.
Don't hinder it.
Right. Support it
because you could hinder your own blessing.
Right.
Because the blessing could flow from your wife into your life, into your family that way.
Right.
And I think that's a really important thing with, looking at entrepreneurs, and most people think it's always the man, but it's not.
Right.
There's a lot of lady entrepreneurs, and I don't know what the ratio is, but I would just say that for them to be successful and not feel like they constantly have to prove to their husband,
right,
the husband really has to recognize that blessing can flow
right
the other way.
Exactly.
It's not just they're the man, they're going to provide. It needs to allow this kind of like fluid relationship with good boundaries.
Right.
Like we talked about, good boundaries. Hey, look, these are our boundaries. Just like the man would have the boundaries, the lady has the boundary. Right?
Mm-hmm. True.
This makes sense?
Yes, completely. I mean, and that I'm so grateful for. My husband stepped into a situation of meeting me, a single mom with 4 children, and just saying, all right, I'm all in. And he really jumped all in.
Yeah.
And when I had lost my job and I was laid off, and he was scrambling around trying to find me different office jobs. And then I was just like, wait a minute, it's not what I'm called to.
Yeah, that's a big indicator there.
It's
because you had hit the pause at that point. Because most people just jump right into the next job and then be be disappointed they're in the next job.
Exactly. I was miserable in that office position. I was grateful for the great pay, the great benefits, of course. But it wasn't what I was called to do. It wasn't what I was passionate about. Since I was little, all I remember is taking care of my siblings and helping mom and dad. And just, I knew that I had a calling to love on children. So it's...
Because it is special calling.
It is.
It really is, because you have to see children as people.
Exactly.
You have to see them as, in the future, that they're going to be an adult.
Right, exactly.
And that adult needs
raising
love,
the next generation,
needs kindness, needs goodness, needs just hugs, needs words of affirmation, and they need it as a child.
Right, exactly.
And it starts as a child. And they grow up knowing that they are loved, and they're wanted, and they're needed, like all of that, right?
Yes, exactly. I mean, and moving down here to Corpus Christi, I mean, that was literally a walk by faith.
Yes.
I mean, leaving my very successful business, my family, extended family, my son, just taking that step was huge. And when my husband got the call that he got the job here with the fire department, he's like, "What do we do?" I said,
do we do it? Yeah.
Yes. And I said, we do. It's where God's opened up that door. It's where we go.
I think that's really powerful because, that's a great example of being willing to pause what you've got going, because you had something very successful going, right?
Yes.
And you had a good source of income coming in from that. And it's like, well, why would you interrupt your income source?
Right.
Because there's more.
Right.
There's more blessing coming. And now I think what was great, Justin's story of being a volunteer firefighter since he was 18?
Yeah, like 18, 19.
Yeah. Worked in the 911 dispatch for many, many years.
Yes.
And his desire was to be a firefighter.
Yes.
And, trying to, in testing wherever he can go to try to, right? Mm-hmm. And getting that call here that, hey, you got the job. Are you going to relocate? And he's like, yeah, I'm coming. Yeah. And I think what's cool is that at that point, you're like, you know what? You've shown me kindness. You've shown me favor. You blessed me here. You believed in me. Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm going to believe in you.
Right.
And you were able to close that down and then come down here and start it back up.
I did. So literally it was a walk by faith, just literally. Didn't really know many people. Yeah. Started in a brand new church community. Started there, hired on. They heard about my experience and they're saying, hey,
we need you.
Exactly.
Yes,
come
absolutely.
on in. Will you help us revamp our children's ministry? All right.
Yeah.
But I felt God tugging at me and saying, this isn't it.
Yeah.
So I applied for my license here with Texas, and God just blessed me abundantly. At the same time, we had it on our heart to foster to adopt.
Yes.
So we ran into a little bit of a bump in the road where we learned that you can't have a dual license in Texas. You can't foster and have a child care license here.
Oh, wow.
So we were able to, because of God, He opened up this new door and said, but you can straight adopt. So we did. So that was all part of the journey. And here I was able to actually make my business bigger, really put more into what it was that I've always dreamed of. So really, I just feel like I'm just continuing to add all the things that I really want to see in my business.
Yeah.
So it's just, God's just still continuing to bless us.
He's so good, isn't he?
He is. He is.
I love it. Mm-hmm. There's really no lack.
No.
Yeah, I think when you trust in Jesus,
you just gotta have the faith.
There's really no lack, and the faith part is the walking it out part.
Exactly.
It's not faith and sit. It's like I have a lot of faith, but I don't move.
Right. You have to, and that was one thing that I feel like Mom really instilled and Dad instilled in us is that if you have this dream, if you feel like you're really called to something, God will make it happen for you. But you got to move.
You got to move with it, and that's where faith without works is dead, and faith without action doesn't accomplish anything.
Exactly.
And I think that's what's great about your story. And I know that story there is what's inspiring people right now. They're like, you know what? It may not be day school, but it might be something else.
Right.
And I think that's what's cool about your story is that it's if we walk in the desires and the faith that we have towards what God has put into our hearts, at that point we can navigate. We can move in that direction.
Right.
Right. And so I think that's what's great about what's happening and what you're continuing to see, but now it's generational.
Yes, it really is.
So that'd be the third generation or fourth generation. Our grandparents were also entrepreneurs. Mom and dad were entrepreneurs. You and I are entrepreneurs. And now watching our children, venture in and jump into the stream.
Right. Yes.
And it's not an easy stream, but I don't think it's supposed to be easy. I don't think life was ever designed to be easy.
It was not.
I think it. But when we engage in a living relationship with our God, when we engage with a living interactive, we're interacting with him daily.
Right.
We don't leave him on the shelf.
The relationship is there with God.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when that relationship is there, well, it seems like things just go a little bit smoother.
Yes. It's true.
You still have challenges, but it's just like, we're going to overcome these challenges.
Right.
So Cathryn, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I am so glad. So do you watch these shows?
I have watched quite a few of them.
All right. Do you ever
Yes.
fact check me?
And I don't. Some of the brothers I'm sure do.
I think the brothers
Yes.
fact check me
Yes.
every so often, but
Yes.
I love that. It just means they're watching.
True.
I think
True.
they're waiting for me to invite them on the show. I tried getting Michael on. I said, "Hey, Mike, come on down to Texas."
We'd love to see you.
Yeah, I'd love to see you,
Yes.
and we'll do a show with Mike.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, or Todd,
That'd be fun.
or Greg.
I mean, every one of them. would be fun.
Every one of them.
Just bring the whole
or
crew.
Guy, or Drew, Chris,
Yes.
Matt,
All of them.
anybody.
Yes.
So those are just the boys. And then there's Cathryn. She's here. There's Terry.
Yes.
There's Debbie.
And there's
Jessica, Melissa.
a big entrepreneur, Melissa.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's doing great as
Yes.
well. So, yeah, those are just some of the siblings who just figured we'd name drop them because they're going to watch and they're going to wonder why we didn't mention them and their dogs and the grandkids and nieces and nephews.
Yes.
And,
Yes. The 100+ of us.
yeah, is there 100+ of us?
Yeah, I believe little Walker was number 100 in the Madelon family. My grandson Walker.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I look forward to having grandchildren as well, but I first want to see them hit those natural
Next
progressions.
steps. Yes.
Not saying to anybody anything over here in this room over there, but anyway. So, but again, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the comments down below. If you liked what you heard today, if you would go ahead and subscribe, and ring that bell. And comment down below and let us know what you took away. And if you felt inspired or you feel like God's speaking to you, share that, man. That's what's encouraging for us, man. And so we really just appreciate your time, and thanks for being with us, and God bless you.